I've been watching a few videos on Rumble and a few interviews, and what I'm struck by is the fact that most people think that things are getting worse, not better. And so it doesn't matter where you look, whether it's electric cars or cars in general, or the state of society, rich versus poor, whatever it is, it seems like we're not evolving, we're actually devolving into something worse, not better than what it was before. The paradox is that everything comes out of its opposites. So evolution comes out of devolution, and devolution comes out of evolution. And so good things come out of bad stuff. Bad stuff comes out of good stuff. Everything comes out of its opposite, because there's a balance in the universe. And so when you think things are getting really bad, then it's highly likely that things are about to get good. Or it's going to come out from outside of the field of play, something's going to come out. And so yesterday I found out that the rock and roll concept of rock and roll came out of Ohio, I think Columbia, Ohio, I think it was. And so I thought, we're in the Lionsgate at the moment, which is a special time of the year, astrologically speaking, when the new things are happening. I thought, let me see what's going on in Ohio. And so I found this musically, because apparently this place is where the new stuff comes in America. And so I went and found some rock festival, heavy metal rock festival in Columbia, Ohio. And what I found was very, very, very not reassuring. It was pretty awful stuff, and I watched it for a little bit just to, be up to date with the goings on in the world. I thought, my God, the state of humanity. I mean, these guys are wearing horrific masks. All of them have masks on, like skulls, and they just can't hear a word they're saying. Just like raving, bloodthirsty raving, cursing on stage. Very, very, very demonic. I would use the word demonic for this. Purely demonic music. And so it's a very demonic time we live in. But the angels come out of the demonic environment. And what the demonic environment does is it causes a lot of argument, a lot of ruffled feathers, a lot of rubbing one against the other. And in this process, something good can come out. Offside, normally offside, and the people watching, they watch this and they get very quiet and they go away and do something else. And I remember living through this as a young boy in South Africa at the time of the hippie revolution. Now, the hippie revolution was a very, very strange phenomenon, because it wasn't planned by anybody. It didn't seem to be like we heard about it from somewhere else and we followed something. It was just like the thought came to us all at the same time to go into the music shops and put the headphones on and listen in booths and play certain music that just happened to be in the record shops. And we found this music. We didn't get it, wasn't done but through the press. That came later, but it wasn't done through the press. It was simply people finding the music in the record shops and buying it, and taking it home, and listening to it, and then sharing it with their friends, and then gathering together, 3 or 4 people all listening to the same music. And they say, when the music changes, society changes. Now, I watched some of this rock and roll stuff, Alan Freed, and I thought, what a fake, what a fake Alan Freed was. He sort of single-handedly took the existing genre of blues music and jazz music and coined the phrase rock and roll and created a whole genre of music by selecting certain aspects of rhythm and blues music and focusing on it and mixing it in with a kind of doo-wop thing. And yeah, I felt it was very artificial what he did, but what happened in the 1960s was not artificial, because what happened was the people found these old records. Train kept a rolling. Train kept a rolling. I'd never even heard of the guy who originally made it. He was a rock and roller, one of the originals, the first guy. The lead guitarist is amazing. The first guy, something trio, the rock and roll trio. They were called the rock and roll trio. Can't remember the name of the singer. The singer wasn't as good as Elvis, but he played pretty mean rhythm guitar. And there was just a rhythm guitar, a bass, and a lead guitar. And the lead guitarist was really, really hot. I mean, he was like Scotty Moore must have copied his style from him. People will probably say it's the other way around, but I don't think so. This guy was the first guy to use a distorted sound, guitar sound on the record, and it was done accidentally because one of the tubes in his amplifier went a bit strange. And that can be heard on Train Kept Rolling, or Train Kept Rolling? I don't know. It's a great song, check it out, Train Kept Rolling. And so in the 1960s, here I come across the 60s bands copying it, and so Jimmy Page and the Yardbirds is doing Train Kept Rolling from this guy, the rock and roll trio. The song was, I think, made 1956, something like this. And now we're in 1966, 10 years later, and these guys are playing some nowhere near as powerful rendition as the original. I mean, it's just so weak and flabby. You know, everybody thinks it's great, really hard out stuff. But if they heard the original, man oh man, the original is great. And the guitar playing on it just knocks Jimmy Page out of the water. It's just so good. And it's not just that record, it's everything this guy plays. He's just like a real master at just riffing away on the song in a blues, jazzy blues vein. Very, very nice. So, yeah. There was a revolution then in the 1950s, but it only came to fruition in the 1960s. And I remember this as the underground music revolution. And we found these records too. You know, you used to go to a record store and you didn't have much money. And so you go looking through the sale records and say, what's this? B.B. King, who's this guy? You know, it's just thrown away, nobody's heard of them. It's all this black music that nobody's interested in. T-Bone Walker, man, what's this? You take it up, wow, you've never heard anything like it in all your life. And so, you know, Chuck Berry. And so these people inspired the blues artist, champion Jack Dupree. These blues artists inspired people like John Mayall to create blues with a more, it was interesting, it was a softer, more feminine music came out of England. And this music found its way back to America, of course, and became very popular. But it didn't start in America. It started in Manchester, Liverpool, places like this, London, and found its way over to America. The idea, garage band music, was a big thing at the time in America. The original garage band was just people got together in garages and just played the music. They were outcasts. They were not part of society. You know, they looked at society and said, this place sucks. And I was at school, I was 11 years old. In 1966, I was 11 years old at school. And I was the youngest person in the high school. You know, I was picked on, I was bullied, I was like, I hated it. I hated school, and they had these hair inspections. Your hair had to be like so many inches above your ears, or you know, you were kind of like hounded and pestered, and you could be given the cane for having your hair above your ears. And we were just sick of it, so we just rebelled against this. We decided to become outcasts and throw the whole lot in. And the worst thing you could do, the most terrible thing you could do, was smoke marijuana. Nobody smoked marijuana. Only the blacks in South Africa smoked marijuana. And we didn't even, it was nothing to do with what happened in America. It just happened. People wanted to do this thing that was regarded as so bad, just to rebel. And so then came LSD. LSD came. And we just wanted to do it. We just wanted to rebel, you know. And we wanted to expand our minds so that we could see beyond this crazy, conventional, sociopathic culture. And a culture is an artificial thing, something that's been created, made, kept the same. And we wanted to be individualists. We wanted to come out as individualists and do what we felt like doing. And that it was a rebellion. You know, we had to make our own clothes. We had to get floral material that they sold from ladies' dresses and cut them into bell-bottom pants and sew them up ourselves and make our own waistcoats and things like this. And we used to try to grow our hair long, but then when you went to school, you know, you had to get away with it. Yeah. Anyway, there's a similar revolution going on right now. People haven't realized that it's going on, but it is going on. And I'm going to take 5 because it's a very controversial subject, and I've only over the last few days realized that this is the same thing that was going on that caused the 60's revolution. But this is much darker, much more terrible, because the situation in the schools these days is so much worse in America. Probably not so much in other parts of the world yet, but in America certainly. So much worse that now we've got high school shooters. Okay, coming up now. Right, now I've been keeping my eye on these school shootings for some years now, meditating on it, thinking about it, making sure that I know what's going on, because I like to be able to explain everything in the universe, understand it, know why these things are going on. And what has been the problem with previous school shootings is a lot of the information about the shootings has been suppressed by the media, of course, fake media, that only wants to give you their opinion and doesn't want to give you the facts. And so there's an interesting one on the go at the moment. This is a 15-year-old boy who shot up his school, killed a number of people, and gave himself up without committing suicide, hoping that they would arrest him and put him in prison for life. That's all he wanted, just wanted to get out of the system and bring the attention of the world to the problem that he was going through. His life had become so terrible it wasn't worth living. You know, he had to do something to bring the attention, and this is what he found to do. And one's life has to be meaningful. Now, you know, when you retire, I'm retired when you come to retire. If you just sat around the house and didn't do anything, didn't have some purpose in life, you won't be able to live with that. You may as well, you know, people who do that just end up committing suicide or something. And so what I do is, well, I'm a philosopher, and so and I have a number of interests, a number of projects on the go. I have my building projects, and my photography. I have my philosophy, and my philosophy involves a study of the human condition. I'm an artist. You know, an artist is a philosopher, is whatever. I paint pictures occasionally, not at the moment. I take photographs, I make mixed media artworks, I produce art with words, painted words and paper. You know, I find these ways to it's not to amuse myself, it's to help the world, because I feel that everything I'm doing is important for the good of humanity. So I found a way that I can channel my energies, including making this video for you people, and make my life meaningful. And so that's what happens to you if you go on the upward pathway and the evolutionary pathway. But if you go down the other route, which is the devolutionary pathway, what happens is nature uses you for the betterment of the world, but at your own expense. And so ultimately, if you can't be used for anything more worthwhile, it'll just get you to commit suicide. Okay, that's the worst thing that can possibly happen to somebody. It means that they were completely useless to nature. And if you're a bit better than that, then what it can do is, on this downward pathway, it can get you to harm somebody, to do some harm, to do a school shooting is probably the ultimate thing it can get you to do. Okay, now, nature works through the angelic environment and the demonic environment. In the demonic environment, what happens is, Jesus used to talk about this, people are possessed by demons and you can cast them out. You can say, okay, get out of him, you demon, or her, get out of her, you demon. And cast the demon out. This is how Jesus would do it. And the demon would get out of the person and end up running away in a pig or an animal or something like that. Now, they used to understand demonology 2,000 years ago, but because science just has no way to research it properly, it just sort of says, nah, it doesn't exist. You know, it's got the blinkers on. But you know, if you want to hear the tape of the guy, you can hear the demon take the guy over and actually deliver a tape recording at the trial of this. It's not a trial, it's a Miller hearing, because he's only 15 years old. He's already pleaded guilty to everything they've charged him with. And so the only thing is that there's a hearing going on, a Miller hearing, to determine whether he gets sentenced to life imprisonment without the chance of any parole. So they're basically saying there's no possibility of reforming this person, which is not possible to do that with a 15-year-old. You know, it's not possible to know if a 15-year-old is not reformable. It doesn't matter what a 15-year-old does. You've got to give them the chance of reforming them before you know if they're not reformable. Yeah, and so it's pretty cut and dried in my eyes. But the prosecution wants him to get this, you know, it's calling for this sentence. The prosecution, they're very evil people, you know. It's hard to watch this Miller hearing. But anyway, the thing about this Miller hearing is it's fully televised on YouTube, so you can watch it all if you like. And if you search Miller hearing Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, it's up to Part 12 at the moment. And these are long videos, some of them 3 hours long, and so you can watch this stuff for days and see every detail of the Miller hearing trial. It's like a trial, and get all the information. The main information is the video. It's actually a sound recording that this guy made the night before, which is his manifesto, if you like. And so it was a well thought out thing that he did. He got to the point where he just knew that there was his life was useless. He couldn't carry on living the way he was, except he did this thing. And he prepared to do it by exposing himself to a lot of demonic stuff, including killing baby birds and watching horrific videos on the internet. And his parents, in the olden days, if a child committed any crime, it was always the responsibility of the parents. The parents were responsible, not the child. Okay. A 15-year-old is not responsible for his own actions. Any crime, if he steals something or hurts something or damages something or does some bad thing, it's always the parents who are responsible. But not now. Nowadays, they've kind of done away with the responsibilities of the parents, because what's happened is parents have no rights anymore. The state has now taken the place of the parents in the children's life. The children no longer learn how to live their lives at home. They learn it in the state school system. And so the school system and the government are now, the dog's barking, they're responsible for the child. And so in actual fact, the responsibility for the school shooting resides with the school and the government who created the school, because they've already said that the parents are not responsible, that they will take the child away from the parents and not force the parents to be responsible if there's any problem. And they've taken the rights of the parents away from being able to discipline and properly bring up their children in the way that they want to bring them up. And they've also created school systems that the parents can't even argue about. They're just like, there's a, the parents, the powers of the parents have been reduced and reduced and reduced until the parents, pretty much all parents now, have just walked away from it and said, there's nothing I can do about it, I'll just let it go. And you'll see that there's all the sexuality issues in the younger generation is a result, direct result, of the abdication of responsibility of parents, and the prevalence of solo parent families, and also of children being brought up by people with unusual sexualities. Okay, so all of this has an effect on the environment that children are now expected to grow up in. And if you're a child, the world is a trap. Okay, it's a trap. You can't get out of it. It's not like you've got the autonomy to make the sort of decisions as whether I'm not going to go to school, or I'm not going to live with my parents, or I'm not going to live in this town. To change the situation for a child is virtually impossible. And this young man, I'm not going to say his name, you can go work it out yourself. His name doesn't come to me. You can't remember his name because he must be the devil himself. He is. But it's not him. It's not him who's the devil. Because what happens is a child like this is possessed by the devil himself. And what that means is that when it comes to doing these terrible actions, a spirit takes over the child and basically controls him, forces him to do these actions. Okay. And if you listen to the tape recordings that he made, there's two of them. One is of him talking about what's caused him to get to this point in his life. And then in the second recording, the actual demon that he's talking about takes over and delivers the demon's direct words of the demon through his mouth into the recording. So that's as big an example, as clear an example, if you like, of demonic possession that you'll ever get. And the scientists would like you to think that they know what demonic possession is, but they don't. They don't know anything. It's only theorizing. And they're theorizing from a very small amount of knowledge, only of the last 50 years or so, whereas I'm taking all of the knowledge about demonology from the whole of mankind's history, going back to the ancient Chinese, Indians, Greek culture, Roman culture, Christianity, the Middle Ages, the Reformation. There have been demonology has been around, the science of demonology. Our king, I don't remember which one of them, wrote a book, big thick book, on demonology. a few hundred years ago. 400 years ago, some 500, I don't know. Demonology has been a big part of the science, if you like, of mankind. It's just that modern day, we've been devolving away from all the knowledge of all of the ancient stuff. We haven't kept knowledge of the ancient stuff and added to it the extra knowledge of the mental scientific inquiry that we're making now. What we haven't done is we haven't kept all that old stuff because we've lost the intuition. When I first studied demonology, I was led to it through some native peoples who were living in the Pacific Islands. And when they heard that I was interested in this sort of stuff, they came to me one day and said, would you like to accompany us? We're going to do a demonic cleansing on a piece of land because there's been bad things happening there, birds have been dying and that, and the local people want us to purify the area. Okay, this is what they used to do in the old days. And so they took me along with them, and I was just part of their crew. They didn't treat me any way special, they just went about their business. And their business was to seek out the ghosts of dead people who were still inhabiting the area, and to talk to those ghosts, ask them questions, find out what the issue was, and then do whatever the ghost said they should do, took their advice, and did the recommended correction that would allow the place to come back to being a purified area rather than a demonic area where these bad things can happen in. Okay. So the concept of demonic environments and angelic environments, it's an important concept. I have other videos about this, mostly probably on Rumble, I think. I don't know exactly where, but you might find something about this in some other videos. It's important to understand the science of it because bad stuff happens in demonic environments because it just makes the brains, if two people enter a demonic environment with different ideas, it actually creates a tension, if you like, and whatever's most different in the minds of the people is going to come out. And so if you go walking in a demonic environment, I saw a video the other day, this couple was walking through some bad place, I think it was in no, I don't know exactly where it was, but and somebody, some homeless person, they said it was a homeless person, whether it was or not, I mean, it's what they just call people who do stuff bad in the streets, they just call them homeless people, look a certain way, threw a aluminium bottle into the face of this one person, and then ran away. And, you know, it might have been a passing through a demonic environment, and the differences between the people, this was a couple, they were walking hand in hand, they might have been well dressed or whatever. The other guy probably hadn't eaten for 3 or 4 days and going through a bad time, you know, wet sleeping bag and all sorts of, looks at these people and then, oh, the rage, how dare these people come into my neighbourhood, you know, I don't know. One wonders why things happen. But what I'm saying is if it wasn't a demonic environment, if it wasn't like broken glass in the area and bad rubbish and not cleaned up and all the rest of it, it wouldn't happen in this area. It wouldn't create the kind of polarity, that's the word. It wouldn't create the same degree of polarity. And you get a high degree of polarity, bad stuff happens. Fights happen and all stuff like that. And if there's a lot of drinking, you know, drinking is it creates a demonic environment. And if there's a lot of drinking, then there's going to be fights and stuff like that, you know. One person mouths off and says, it's not that. And, you know, it's like the two opposite minds come to blows, yeah. Now, I'll take 5. Well, that was a pretty long introduction, really. But it needed to be, the background needed to be understood, the big overview of the background, because what this video is about is really about Ethan Crumbley, the school shooter, and his reasons why he did it. Okay, and he did it because he wanted you to hear what he had to say, that's all. And he was prepared to take his own life and kill other people, spend the rest of his life in prison, just to get the message to humanity. Okay. In the same way that Ted Crumbley, I think it was, the Unabomber, did to get his industrial society and its problems to the people. And he did get it. It was successful. He got his book to the people. And so, just like Ted Crumbley, I think that's his name, I can't remember his name, just like he was the sort of the origin of the sort of school shooter movement, is really, it's like the 60's movement and the 50's movement, the 60's movement, and then the whatever comes next after the 60's movement. It's kind of like it's coming out of an earlier thing. And so the school shooters is coming out of Ted Crumbley's, was the seed, the start of it, if you like. And so I was going to talk about Ethan Crumbley, but I'm not going to, because you're all grown up, you're all big boys and girls. You can listen to his words and make your own mind up about why Ethan Crumbley did what he did. And you can watch his trial and see him. You know, he's had 3 years, I think, 2 years, I don't know how long, it was a long time ago that this thing happened, and he's now completely driven insane by the system that refuses to deal with these sorts of things. You know, I'm not going to say anything, you can watch it yourself. All I've done is, the words of Ethan Crumbley are hard to hear, the recording is not very good, and so what I've done is I've put the words, I've carefully gone through it and tried to transcribe into words what he was saying, because I couldn't hear it properly in a lot of places, and so I hope that helps. But I think it's important that what he says is heard, because you know, that's the reason he did what he did, was because of his understanding of the situation of the world condition. Yeah? There's a condition of humanity, a condition of the world, and people are forced to live in this world, and for some people it's just not possible to carry on. It's so bad. Some people's situations is worse than others, and for some people it's so bad, and so that they feel so left out, if you like, of the world, that, and the unrighteousness of it, that a demon can take them over and do school shooting stuff. And it's you don't want to be one of these people who has to become a school shooter, you know what I mean? You're better off studying hard and becoming a rocket scientist or something. Yeah, unless we change society, unless we change the government systems and the university systems and the school systems, these are the problematics of it, and the health system and the job centres and all of the stuff. Unless we change the whole system, it's just going to get worse, okay? And ultimately, those guys with the masks on are going to get you all, okay? So here's Ethan Crumbley. Give him a hear. Just can't let her go.
it's actually video, but it's audio, and the video is just the defendant. He's pointing the camera or the phone at his feet. Is that correct?
Yeah, you see the tops of his feet.
Okay. In the interest of time, I'm just going to play the audio for you, okay? And after, just confirm that that's what you found. November 29, 2021.
My name is Ethan Crumbley, aged 15, and I'm going to be the next school shooter. I thought about this a lot. I can't stop thinking about it. Like, it's constantly in my head. Every conversation I have with someone, no matter what, I'm thinking about it and I can't get it out. It's currently November 29th, 2021, 10:05 p.m. The school I'm shooting up is Oxford High School. I'm in 10th grade there. I've always been fascinated by guns when I was a kid. I always wanted to join the forces, the SWAT when I was in 3rd grade, Navy SEALs when I was in 4th, Marines 5th or 7th, Army, Rangers, and I've never thought of a career. I've never had motivation. I kept lying to myself that there was something out there for me. There was something that was going to make me happy. That was going to provide me a happy, loving, caring life. But that's bullshit. It's all a lie. I realize that. Oh, in 9th grade, I never thought of this. I thought I was going to make it through school and go into the army, but I realized, what's the fucking point? Millions have done it. Thousands have regretted it. Thousands have killed themselves because of it. Many come back and not happy, not satisfied. And I'm thinking, it's the only thing I want to go into, but how will it make me happy? How will I love doing that? How will I love? And I realized that that's not going to work out. So I was thinking, what am I going to do? And I realized all the bullshit that was right in front of me, and I never realized it. I was always the kid who said, work hard in school and you'll get a career in life. But the career is bullshit. And it was right in front of my fucking eyes the whole time. I couldn't see it. The school system is... Their main goal is to put youth just born into this world to learn. And they actually learn fucking good. They learn K through 5. They learn useful stuff. Stuff about the world that teaches them not how the world is, but how it should be. and how they want it to be. The teachers brainwash them into what they think is right, and their minds are so underdeveloped that the adults just take advantage of it. And they say that it's too good for humanity. And when you get into middle school, that's even more useless. It's just an excuse to wait till the kids grow up. They're wasting years of their life learning knowledge they're most likely never going to do unless they become a Nobel Prize scientist or mathematician, or the fucking founder of a multi-million-dollar environment club. And to brainwash. They're teaching a working class into this world. There's no teaching of working class centuries ago. You know, they're either born into it or they weren't. You were born into a working class, you were forced to work. You weren't born, you helped develop the world. You created technology, you created advances in civilization. I mean, there was only two indifferences, and the working class rose up and made everyone a working class. And now, no matter what, you just have to work. To do what? You spend 15 years of your life just hard studying and trying your hardest to achieve the best out of anyone in any school. And then you get accepted into college. And you could be rich, so you don't have to worry about it. Or it could put you into thousands of debt. And you get a useless job that other people have gotten. And you think that it is doing something for this planet. You think that all those years of working and you get a job is doing something for the good of humanity. It's fucking not. It's useless. The education system and the government is just brainwashing people to be a working class. They're all brainwashing them just to fucking work and keep society how it is, but people want to go a different direction. They don't want to. They want to work, but they. See, that's where I don't fucking understand it. I'm not dumb enough to fully understand their capabilities. I'm not as dumb as them, so I can't understand, but they want to revolt and become a new class education system that just weakens everything. They want to fucking keep the innocence of everyone. They want to make sure that monsters are a thing. They're offended of a horror movie. They want to take away what this world is. In this world, it's not heaven. There is no heaven. There is no God. There is no Satan. There is no hell. But the world is hell in its own way. People don't think of it. You think as hell is the bottom, earth is the middle, and heaven is the top. But in reality, the earth is just hell. It's always been that, and people want to just forget it. They want to just take away what already is. And it's stupid. Taking action. People go and protest, fucking take away guns, or make what I'm doing. I believe I am one of the first people to do this. I'm not only shooting up the school because I'm mentally depressed or mentally ill and have anxiety that struggles me every day, but I'm doing it to teach a word and all the simplicities. I don't fucking even know how to say that. all the fucking dunces out there, their skulls are too fucking low to understand everything. Unfortunately, the people I kill are the people that are killed. I'm sorry that their families have to go through this, but it's for the right of humanity. And the course we're going, we're fucked. In 50 years, we're fucked. Nothing's going to happen. Democrats and the Republicans are just going to fight, and people are keep going to take sides, and some people are going to stick out and say they're the big brainers who don't think of it, but really, they're the main problems. And it's just leading to a collapse. The world worked so hard for thousands and thousands of years. And when war happened, peace was a thing. People understood everything. People understood the logistics of human civilization. The time from 1920 to 1980 was the golden ages of humanity. In some countries may not have been that way, but for the big ones, it was the golden ages. Everyone understood the world but knew how to keep it in order. They knew the differences because war and peace. They knew that they could cooperate and live together. But now people are just taking that away. And what I'm doing is an act to show that people are taking it away, and I'm trying to preserve it. To show that no one is safe, no matter how hard they work. Your protests aren't going to do anything. They're just words, they're not actions. No one would care if I go up to the school and shout a sign, "We're too innocent. Bring back the equality between violence and peace." They'll think I'm fucking delusional. But to take action is what you have to do. Action is the only thing out of humanity that has made us this far, has brought us this far into civilization. And society is collapsed. Civilization is no more. People don't see it, but we're on the brink of downfall. Like, not just the brink, but the beginning of the end, basically. Everyone is born, works hard, and thinks that everything's going to be the same for hundreds of years. And technology will advance and that's it. But that's not how it happens. When the bell rings to end 5th hour, tomorrow, October 30th, November 30th, 2021, I'm going to walk to the dividend between the boys and the girls' bathroom. I will have my black jacket on, and I will walk behind someone, and I will shoot a bullet in their skull. Yeah, that's my first victim. I'm going to open fire on everyone in that hallway. The hallways are too jam-packed. I will try and hit as many people as I can. I will reload, and I will find people hiding. I'm going to teach them a lesson of how they're wrong, of how they're being brainwashed. I understand that I'm going to prison for this. Michigan doesn't have a death penalty. I don't want to die. As funny as it may seem, I don't want to kill other people. I do not want to die. I realize how valuable life is. And I realize I broke the code of what's happening. I broke the code. I realize what is actually happening. And these people, they don't have the capabilities of understanding it. And so I'm going to teach the entire nation and the world of what's happening and how we're on the brink of downfall. I'm going to be using 6R SP2022. I brought it at Acme Firearms, Oxford, Michigan on Friday. It is a 9mm pistol. It takes 15 plus 1 ammo capacity. I have 3 magazines for it. I've worn my mask for too long. I can't take it anymore. I've broke. I've fought it for years and for years, lying to myself over and over again. But it's taught me the truth. There's no voices in my head. The voices are me. I am the voices. I am arguing with myself back and forth. I have 3 constant voices, and then there's me physically. And I'm doing whatever those 3 voices tell me to do, and one of them is always coming up on top. And that's the one that's taken over. That's what people call the demons. There are no demons. I am the demon. You are the demon. In turn, there is a demon in everyone that is the voice. The demon will take over. There's nothing I can do about it. My life is already on a downfall. If I don't do this, nothing will happen. The world will collapse. I will be in misery. I'll probably just end up in a useless career in the army and killing myself. What use is that? I have the chance to teach the world to become a better place. And I have to take that chance. I've missed many opportunities in my life, and I'm not missing this one. I'm going to try and flee the school for as long as I can, until I get caught.
Well, there is a bit more, but that's the end of the manifesto part. And there's a second recording, which is the demon actually speaking, which I'm going to put on in a minute. But I just wanted to pull that. I saw the I Ching card there as I walked up there, and I see they're in the shop. So I'm just going to pull a card on what the I Ching has to say about Ethan Crumbley's future. Okay. Okay. So I got increase, and now I'm gonna pick a card for the future of the society that created Ethan Crumbley. You're not going to believe this. There's no crop in the video. Decrease. Now, I think that proves that there's something going on in the universe that isn't ordinary, and that we don't really, everything isn't just random, okay? This is a pack of, I don't know how many, 62 cards or something, I don't know how many cards are around each pack, and a few more there. And there's only 2 increase and decrease cards, all the rest is something else. And so to get the 2 of them, and you saw that I could pick them from completely different parts of the pack. So there you go, that's what the universe, that's what nature has to say about Ethan Crumbley and the society that created him. And the society can't help it, it must decrease because it's no good, and we can't live in a world that's no good. And you know, this happened in the French Revolution, it wasn't good enough then, and so everybody just rose up and you saw what happened. And so I'm going to give you the words of the devil himself speaking through having taken over Ethan Crumbley, because Ethan Crumbley lived in the haunted house. His parents used to come home boozed up, bringing demons into the house. The house was full of demons and he couldn't live in it, it was haunted. How can you keep a young boy of 15 in a haunted house? You understand? Okay, not Ethan's fault. So this is the demon, the devil himself, talking to you now.
Fuck that previous video I took. That was bullshit, what I said. I'm gonna have so much fun tomorrow. I have a goal, and it's to kill everyone.
I got no additional questions for this witness. Could counsel approach?
Yes.